So we'll start with a series of peak mental state exercises before we begin the next exercise. I'm going to start with some peak mental state exercises. And these exercises are quite useful, as I've mentioned before, not just for football, but also if you're going into an exam, you're going into a meeting, going into an interview. But importantly, from a football point of view, the biggest game of your career, guys, is the next game. That's the biggest game of all of our careers, because our next game is key. The next game we play is always the biggest game. The last game we played is gone. We go forward. So the next game is always key. And I've mentioned before, we train as we play. When we train, we need to sort of match that intensity, because the trouble is if we don't, then we start developing these sort of habits. So that's the key. But how we feel has a big impact on how we think, and how we think impacts how we feel. So it's kind of a mesh really in how we sort of behaviorally. So it's about the peak state. So I'm going to do a series of exercises. I've talked before about how sometimes, it can be easy to analyze negative performances, but we can also focus on great performances. So what I want to do is a series of exercises with you to be able to access these sort of memories and build these neurological pathways. And every time you think of a time or experience it, or experience a time that you have had these sort of feelings, and you're going to build a neurological pathway in the brain, or reinforce one that's there already. So this isn't exhaustive. These are sort of key things you can do. So I want you to think of a time when you're really motivated. Okay, if you can't think of a time straight away, it's okay. I just want you to sort of reflect on a time where you were really, really motivated, and notice what you saw, what you heard, what you felt. If you're comfortable, guys, what you can do, if you're comfortable doing so, what you can do is sort of, close your eyes and just focus that way if you prefer that, if that's easier for you to block out the outside world. Now, I want you to think about a time when you're totally confident. You're really confident. You've got this. You're extremely confident about a situation, and ideally, football. And I want you to relive the situation. Notice what you see, hear, and feel. Just for 5 to 10 seconds, I want you to sort of think of that time where you were extremely confident. Okay, and just experience that. 5 seconds. Okay. And then I want you to think of a time where you were completely focused, and really experience that time you're really, really focused. Okay, that's a good question. So we just had a question in the chat room. Great question. Think of a time you were totally resourceful. Now, I suppose that means whatever it means to you. For me, it means, being resourceful is sort of, you've got the capability. So you step up for a penalty, and you know that you've got the capability to score that penalty. You've got the capability to score that free kick. You've done it in training, and you can do it. If you sort of focus, you got the resources. You can beat that opposition. Okay, you've got the capability to achieve. And sometimes what happens when we go into sort of new territory, you go to a trial and you've not been in that environment before, you step up to take a penalty and the pressure's on, because there's a huge penalty in a cup final. You've got a big free kick, and it's easy to sort of, in that moment, to let the occasion get to us and think, have we got the resources, the capabilities, the skills, the techniques to be able to achieve the desired outcome? Now, I mentioned earlier, sometimes you're going to hit a free kick, top corner, keeper saves it. Sometimes you're going to smash a penalty and the keeper's going to save it, or sometimes things are going to go against you, and that's sport. That's the way it is in sport. Or sometimes what's going to happen is you're going to miss a goal you think you should have scored, and the danger is you let that affect you. It's playing on your mind, because you think, oh no, and you're so focused on the last moment, you're not thinking about the now, the resources you've got now. So that for me is key, and think about the skills that you do have. So think of a time when you stepped up, to take a penalty, and you knew you could do it and you achieved it, or a free kick, or if you're a goalkeeper, you sort of saved it. Obviously, statistically, the chance of saving a penalty for a keeper is, if you do the stats, is less than scoring one. But they're the sort of key things. You've gone to a trial, a new team, and you've sort of done the, achieve what you set out to achieve. But also this could even apply to, life in general, exams and other things too, guys, which is key. So we're just going to reflect on this for a moment, and then we will do a more formal exercise. I'll also take questions as well too for you guys, so we can open up, and then we'll do a more formal exercise. We'll recap over the video, and I'll say you some work to do, and we're on the way. That's the sort of key to that.